Hey everyone, my name is Paul. Welcome to my shop. I was recently on Facebook Marketplace and I saw that somebody was selling the remains of an old woodworking pattern shop. Here in Chattanooga, there was about 6 foundries at one time, and so obviously there'd be a pattern shop or two. And lots of old Oliver machinery, lathes, bandsaws, joiners, stuff like that. I happened to see that there was a workbench and a pattern maker's vise on one of them. So I got a hold of the guy, and it turns out there were 5 pattern maker's vises on different workbenches in this shop. And so I went and made a deal, and I ended up with 2 of them. There was about 2 inches of dust on top of them. The ride home took care of most of that, but once I did get them home, I took my leaf blower to it, got rid of the rest of the dust, and there was a drawer in one of them, so I unpacked it. It looked like maybe it was a bit of a time capsule, so I'll go through that here in a minute to see what's in it. I used my tractor to get the workbenches off of the trailer and down to my shop. I put one of them up on some little casters, which got a little awkward there for a second as it started to roll out of the shop, but then I got it squared away and moved it into my shop. When I was moving the second workbench down to my shop, the top came off of it, and I noticed that painted on the top of the base part of it was Oliver Machinery Company. So I did a little research, and I found out that Oliver did make workbenches for a while. I'm not sure if that is it, or if the pattern shop made workbenches from maybe the crates from the machinery. I don't know. On one of the workbenches, there was a drawer, and I thought maybe that would be like a bit of a time capsule, so I put everything into a tub, and let's go through it. It was a junk drawer, but there was some interesting stuff. There's a brace, lots of polishing wheels. Not sure what those are for. Some old corner clamps. I guess the highlights is maybe this. I have a switch here, which is kind of cool. Nice design on it. Cutler hammer, probably worth hanging on to. There was also a ruler in there, and it's got the different scales on it. I don't think I've seen one of these since high school. It also has the name of the company on it, Strickland Pattern Works, and I knew this from the guy I bought the benches from. But I went down to the library and did a little research to see if there was anything I could find on them. They were in business from 1904. The guy I bought the benches from, he bought the property from a gentleman. It was 3rd generation owner, and he was in his 80s. So kind of a cool story. But let's have a look at the benches. Let's start off with the vise. This is an Emmerts pattern maker's vise. From what I've been able to find out, they're making this up until the 40s and maybe beyond. The vise on the other table, it's older. It's the turtleback. It's probably more collectible, but that's the one my buddy wanted, and I like this bench. So it works okay, but I can't get it to rotate, so it needs to come off and get cleaned up. For the rest of the bench, it's not in great shape. The top is separating from itself and also from the base. It's pretty rough. There's lots of paint on it, so I just want to clean it up. I've got a nice workbench, but I also like history and local history, so I just want to clean it up and see where we end up. This does appear to be another Oliver woodworking bench. It says from Oliver Machine Company. And on this side, Grand Rapids, Michigan, 18243. I've got knocked apart about as far as I can get it. Now I need to decide what to do. It still needs a lot of cleaning up. This one's brown, the other one's gray. I don't know if they came painted from the factory or they got painted in the pattern shop. Most likely it's going to be lead paint though, so if I do anything with it, I'll be doing it outside with a fan and a respirator going. But I think I'll take a look online and see what I can find out, see if there's any examples of these, and go from there. I'm going to use epoxy to glue this top back together, mainly because epoxy can do a little bit more gap filling, and maybe the wood's not as clean as it could be. More epoxy, but this time I tinted it black because once I get everything clamped together, I've got a couple cracks that I wanted to fill, and I think it always looks better if the epoxy is black when there's a finish on it. I've decided that the vise is not going to go back onto the workbench. It's too heavy for it. It's like 80 pounds and it was ripping the top apart. Plus the installation wasn't so good. They really hacked away at the top and there wasn't much holding the vise there. They must not have been doing it for a YouTube video. I'm going to take this thing off first. They used a nail for a cotter pin. There must have been about 5 pounds of nails in that bench. Apparently there's a lot of nails used in pattern making. There was a little screw here that was covered in sawdust. Yeah. Oh man. That's in there. There's 2 screws holding this mechanism together. One of them's missing, but the other one's there and it's really tight. So I took it outside, blew it off. I'm going to try a bit of WD-40 on it so I can see the head of the screw on the inside. Try that. And then we'll go for the heat. Oh, there we go. I think. Yep. Do you think that's hot? Ah. There's a collar and set screw that keep the main screw in place. Once that's off, the main screw comes out. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's everything disassembled. To clean everything up, I'm just going to use my die grinder. I've got a Rolock or Scotch-Brite disc on there, and just going to use that, a wire brush, and some shop air. I've got all the parts cleaned up, and I have a board here as a test jig for it when I get it together. A bit of white lithium grease for the bits that need it, so let's get it together. Oh, it's the wrong bit. Dummy. That's the vice done. It works great. The tilt mechanism, I might need to play with that a little bit, but the rotation, nice and free now, and it locks down nice and tight, so perfect. I'm going to call that a day. Tomorrow, first thing, I'm going to make a patch for that where this was on the workbench. Once I got this maple patch piece done, I gave it to my buddy James, and he laser engraved the Strickland Pattern Works logo onto it for me. All the metal hardware for the bench got a coat of boiled linseed oil, and that'll give it some protection. For a finish, I'm going to use shellac, and it's not something I use very often, but I'm going to use it for this project because I know it's not going to have any issues covering the dozen or so finishes that are still on this worktop. The drawer's in pretty bad shape. It's falling apart, and one of the supports for it is cracked, so I'm going to steal the supports from the other bench, or one of them, and I'm going to remake this drawer, probably a bit smaller, but trying to use the same wood. I cut some grooves in the drawer parts just because I was going to use a new piece of plywood for the bottom. mainly because it was the easy way out, but also to keep things nice and square. And I will reuse the wood to make a shelf for the bottom of the workbench. I ended up making some new hangers for the drawers, and when installing them, I just used a few playing cards just to act as a shim to keep the drawer consistent from the slide. I want to keep it fairly simple to attach the top to the base, so I'm just going to use some figure 8 fasteners. This project started to drag on a little bit towards the end, but it's finally done and I'm happy with it. It looks really good. What I really like about it, it still looks like a workbench that's 100 years old, and it's just freshened up a little bit. The plans for it, I'm going to take the bench up to the house. My wife wants a craft room, so that's going to go into the craft room. That way we get to hang on to it. Plus, I have the other workbench. My buddy wants the vise, not the bench, so that might stay down here, but I'm going to move on to something else for a while. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button. And if you have any questions, list them down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.